LED Poi come in so many different varieties, shapes, and styles these days. So how do you know which ones are best for you? Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I want to take a look at what criteria you should have in mind before purchasing a set of LED Poi. But before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Fire Mecca, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all of these awesome companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I have down in the description of this video. And special thanks to the non-business friends of the channel, Lei Muczynski and Pekha Pekkonen. Thank you both so much for supporting my channel, my work, and my mission. So we kind of have an embarrassment of riches at this point as poi spinners. I remember when I first started off, there was maybe 1-2 companies max that actually sold LED Poi, and now I know of at least a dozen different ones. But with more options also comes more choices, and with more choices, well, comes a lot more confusion. So I'm going to try and help simplify things here by talking about some criteria that I use when I look at LED Poi to see if maybe they'll be of help to you all out there too. And right quick before we dive in, if you're not already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I upload regular videos on poi spinning and flow arts, so make sure that you get to catch each and every one. So the first thing that I usually think about when I'm evaluating a set of LED Poi is the form factor. That is, what shape do they have, and what is that shape good for, and what is it not so good for? Most LED Poi come in a form factor wherein they're packing the LEDs down into the end of the Poi head. Examples of this include things like Pod Poi and all the different forms of LED contact Poi out there, as well as entry-level Poi such as Spinballs. These types of Poi tend to be really flexible and good for a variety of different styles, but if you're more specifically interested in contact Poi, you're going to want to find a set that have those spherical heads, because without those, you're not going to get clean contact rolls. At the other end of the spectrum are LED Poi that have a rod-shaped form factor. In some cases, this is done deliberately to evoke the form factor of glow sticks, such as people that are trying to emulate a glow stringing style. In other cases, those rods host a strip of LEDs that can be programmed to display different images or messages. Either way, the weight distribution in this form factor differs substantially from the first type. In some cases, this can make stalls a little bit more difficult to do, and in other cases, it can restrict the vocabulary of movement to the Poi to only the most basic of Poi tricks. Unless you know for certain that you want to spin with a style associated with this form factor, this might not be the one to start with. There's also a subset of Poi that kind of fit into our first form factor that seek to illuminate the tether of the Poi by placing them inside of socks. There's only a small handful of companies out there that offer this option, and the results are very, very eye-catching. The downside is this can also restrict the vocabulary of tricks that you can use. That said, sometimes it's a trade-off that's worth it. And speaking of tethers, we do have to talk about how those tethers influence all Poi, including LED Poi. A lot of entry-level LED Poi use nylon strings to connect together the heads and the handles. These nylon strings can be good as a cost-saving measure, but at the same time, when you're in the initial stages of learning how to spin and building up the calluses on your fingers, they can also very easily strip off those calluses or irritate your fingers in other ways. Many other LED Poi options use a variety of different kinds of ropes to connect their heads with their handles. Options here include everything from smithy rope to static rope, and a variety of different thicknesses, everything from 6mm all the way up to 3/4 inch and even 1/2 inch tethers. By and large, if you're just starting off, any rope between 6mm and 3/4 inch should do the trick for you. If you're interested in learning more juggling style Poi, consider looking into static ropes as an option too. And next up, we have battery life. Battery life matters a lot for keeping your Poi going for as long as you are. In some cases, I've seen Poi that can go an entire night or longer, and in some cases, I've seen Poi that will conk out after only an hour or two. It can be helpful in this case to think about what uses you have in mind for your Poi before you purchase them. Is this a set of Poi that you're going to be going out jamming with for hours on end? Or is it a set of Poi that you're only going to need to use for just a few minutes when you get on stage? Shorter battery life is totally fine if you just happen to be using them for shorter performances. If you want them to last the whole night though, you might want to look for something with better performance. And of course, the flip side, and usually the trade-off with battery life, is brightness. It used to be that all LED Poi were comparatively dim and really could only be seen well in very low light. But in recent years, we've had a variety of different options becoming available that can increase the brightness of Poi all the way from being extremely visible to painfully visible at night. And do bear in mind that the brighter a set of Poi you're working with, almost inevitably, the shorter their battery life is going to be. If this is a set of Poi that's going to be used for performance purposes, brighter is usually better. If, on the other hand, they're just for casual spinning, they don't need to perhaps be as bright. And also bear in mind that many different sets of LED Poi out there now allow you to control the brightness of the prop. And of course, there's also the question of durability. The first sets of LED Poi that I ever owned were incredibly fragile and would usually break down after a couple months worth of use. But nowadays, I've had LED Poi that have lasted me for over a decade and they're still kicking it. For the most part, LED Poi have come a long way in the past 2 decades and are now able to handle quite a lot of abuse. The one exception to this would be programmable Poi, which, just because of the form factor, are inherently more delicate. Whenever those Poi hit something, regardless of how soft it is, it bends the circuit boards inside just a little bit, and that can gradually loosen or even break the contacts inside over time. If you're super interested in getting programmable Poi, just bear in mind that you run a high risk of them breaking, and generally speaking, you're going to have to send them back into the manufacturer to get them repaired. These are usually Poi that are better just for special events or gigs, and tend not to get a lot of use outside of those. Next up, a thing that I have a complicated relationship with, and that is modes. Most LED Poi will give you the basic option of flashing up individual colors in a variety of different strobe patterns or fading between a few different colors. Some have more comprehensive capabilities and create a variety of different patterns within their trails. In general, I find that the more modes a particular set of LED Poi offers, the more difficult they are to use and navigate. Your mileage may vary here, but I personally like to just put on a mode and go flow with them. At the same time, there's a bunch of people out there that are super into exploring different modes, and that is also a perfectly valid choice. One thing to bear in mind here, though, is that a lot of the intellectual property around LED Poi comes down to not the hardware, but the software that is run on them. So when it comes to programming the different modes on different Poi, you're almost certainly going to have to learn a new system with each individual company's Poi that you happen to pick up. And of course, in the most advanced cases of Poi modes, we have those programmable Poi once again. Now, there's a huge difference in the experience of setting up programmable versus non-programmable Poi. With non-programmable Poi, you have the modes on the device, and that's pretty much what you're limited to. With programmable Poi, you can download images or type out messages and get those Poi to flash those things as you're spinning them. With programmable Poi, you have to think about not just all the variables that we've already talked about, but also what the interface is for actually programming them, which is almost always going to happen on a laptop. There's a wide range of different options here, with some companies offering easier to use programs and some with programs that are a little bit less easy to use. It's a good idea to do some homework here and figure out exactly how easy or difficult it's going to be to get all those cool pictures to come out of your set of Poi. So these are what I tend to keep in mind when thinking about LED Poi and whether I want to acquire some. What are some criteria that you use? Please leave me a comment and let me know. Did you get anything out of this video? Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help other people find it, to help keep the conversation going, and of course, to help my channel grow. This video would not be possible without the support of all of these wonderful people right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon. They and the people listed down in the description help to make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. Thank you so very much for your very, very generous support. If you out there watching would like to support my work and are not currently a supporter, the way you can do that is head on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up. There you can get access to a whole host of awesome rewards, and even better, you'll be helping me out in my mission to bring Poi spinning and flow arts to the whole wide world. So go check that out, please and thank you. And if you're interested in checking out my reviews of specific models of LED Poi, I'm going to go ahead and include a link to a playlist full of those videos down in the description, as well as up here on screen if you are watching on YouTube. Also, the YouTube algorithm thinks based upon your past viewing habits that you might like this top video here, so maybe give that a look as well. Thanks so much for watching, make sure to get out and flow today, and I'll see you with a new video real soon. Peace.